Greetings, citizens of the internet! You can call me Nitro Indigo, and welcome back to my extremely riveting Let's Play of Kirby's Dream Land 3. In the last episode, we completed Level 2, Ripple Field, and in this episode, we're going into Level 3, Sand Canyon. Now, before we enter the first stage, I suppose I should explain something. A problem I've had with this series so far is that my commentary lacks direction. I just stutter and fumble around a lot, and you just saw it there, without really knowing what to talk about. So I decided that in order for my commentary to have more direction, I should prepare a list of things I want to talk about. So, as we enter this first level, I suppose I should talk about a Cars fanfiction. I have a history with this one. Also, the side quest for the level is to step on all the tulips, but not all the mushrooms. Anyway, this Cars fanfiction, I have a history with it. I read it out in episode 6 of Wind Waker HD, but then I forgot to record commentary. I like these cactuses, or cacti actually. And then I read it out again in episode 7 of Wind Waker HD, but I wasn't happy with that video, and also while I was reading the fanfic, I had to go out and grind for money in order to afford playing the Battleships minigame more. I know that's not what it's called, but it is literally just Battleships, so I'm calling it the Battleships minigame. So finally, I get a chance to read it for you here. But first, read it out on my channel and not do anything wrong, because I've actually been more careful with Kirby's Dream Land 3. Because it's a much simpler game. But anyway, this fan fiction, it's called Alpha and Omega. It's basically the story of Finn from Cars 2 and how he used to be partners with this character called Julia, who was cut from the final version of the movie. She's a double agent, and it's rated T because they get a bit flirtatious at some points. If that's not a word, I'm making it a word now. And that jingle meant I just did the side quest. Anyway, but in the part I'm going to read you out, which is the last paragraph of chapter 2, they're not getting flirty. I'm not really into romance, so I just read fanfics by this author called Mighty Ant because I like how she writes the characters, including my favourite character, because if you've seen either of my Cars 2 reviews, you know that I really like a character called Siddeley, who's a plane, voiced by Jason Isaacs, also known as Lucius Malfoy. And if that's not awesome, I don't know what is. Anyway, this is the jet you'll be receiving. Oh, sorry about the interruption, but anyway, this is the jet you'll be receiving, the A113. Equipped with all the latest in spy technology, it has been saved for the top agents of the Academy. In other words, you two. Okay, for context, because I always forgot to say this, this is basically Finn and Julia have just graduated from Spy Academy and now they are getting their personal plane slave. Because I kind of buy into that dark theory that there's slavery in the Cars world. But anyway, the MG speech, MG is a kind of car by the way, despite resembling something that should sound exiting, sick, nearly put the two other cars to sleep. His droning and monotonous voice seeming to suck the life out and excitement out of everything around him. Finn felt as if he were about to drop from the depressing tone of it, and I got hit. His partner wasn't faring any better, and was nearly leaning against him when the professor, known as Carlisle, wasn't looking. The jet they were idling under didn't seem any worse for wear, appearing used to the MG's dreadfully dull monotone. His eyes behind the visor were lidded, and the airplane looked half asleep, and I got hit again. It was then that Finn realised Carlisle hadn't stopped talking. The jet's abilities are nearly endless, with a quantity of weapons that rival that of the Royal Navy. You do realise that he's a plane and not a boat, right? The sheer number of escape manoeuvres it possesses is outstanding all on its... He... Excuse me? What is this voice supposed to be, by the way? The professor inquired, eyelid raised as he turned towards Julia. Even Finn and the jet looked at her in surprise. The Alfa Romeo, or however you pronounce it, appeared perturbed by the attention, but continued nevertheless. You called him an it, Julia explained, and I forgot to do a voice for her. Carlisle chuckled, shaking his hood and exculpated to the Italian car as if she were nothing more than a child. My dear girl, it's a jet! Simply used to ferry cars to and from necessary places. It's actually a bit hard to concentrate on the game and read off my Kindle at the same time. Also, in episode 6 of Wind Waker HD, I forgot to turn my Kindle on before recording, so I had to spend like a minute waiting for it to turn on because it takes ages to turn on. But anyway, I'm still reading this. The aircraft above them seemed to deflate, thus filling the Alfa Romeo whatever with confidence. No, I believe he is much more than that. He... Julia turned towards the jet. What is your name, mio caro? Oh, that's another thing. Every character who's foreign in this fanfic peppers their sentences with foreign words in the native language they speak, in words from their native language, because that's exactly how people talk in real life. And sometimes the author puts translations at the end of the chapter and sometimes she doesn't, and in this case mio caro means my dear. And if you want, you can make a stupid joke about how it has car in it, even though he's a plane. Voiced by Jason Isaacs. They should have had Sidney be voiced by Gary Oldman, so then I can make stupid surely you can't be serious jokes, but he was in Kung Fu Panda 3, which came out in the Kung Fu Panda 2, sorry, which came out in the same year. So, taken aback, the aircraft answered, Sidney. The Italian vehicle nodded, turning back towards the MG. Siddeley is much more than a simple jet, as is any other aircraft here. They are the near equivalents of agents in my eyes, and are to be treated as such. And what does it matter if he ferries other agents, in air quotes? It is his job, and he should do so with pride. I should specify that the word that was in air quotes was ferries. Very well, Carlyle huffed, beginning to reverse. Here is your jet. Your mission debriefing will be in an hour. With that, the MG abruptly turned, leaving the two cars and aircraft alone without another word. And this is a caveman person. If you spit things out, he knocks them back. Julia smirked proudly at his disappearing form before her expression clouded, receiving a call on her radio. "Scusey," she muttered, driving off to speak in private, and I lost pitch. Also, scusey means excuse me. The male vehicles, I don't know why I said it this way, of both terra firma with an E instead of an I and sky, watched her leave, similar looks of surprise adorning their features. After a moment, Siddeley spoke. "I like her." Finn couldn't agree more. Okay, first of all, this is actually kind of depressing when you think about it. I mean, think about it. Oh yeah, that's the caveman thing in action. Siddeley is completely and utterly unflinching to someone being racist to him right in front of his face, even though he could easily kill him with his weapons or he could just crush him. And is actually surprised when someone is nice to him. Which seems to suggest to me that in this fanfic's universe, Siddeley has just gotten so used to being talked down to that he no longer really cares. And I really like how this author writes these characters, but almost they're a bit out of character. I mean, Siddeley doesn't really have that much of a canon personality, but here, Mighty Ant writes him like he's Finn's concerned mother or something. And I keep forgetting about that. And it just makes me think, how long has this been going on for? And he's still relatively fine after spending the last however long, presumably, being mistreated. So that's just amazing not in a good way. But also, I don't really like Mighty Ant's writing style that much because, like, all of her fan fictions, including this one, are just more like a collection of moments than a coherent story. And in this level, you have to use the clean ability because it's just like, well, there's a lot of scenes that look like they should be of consequence in another story, but in this story, the only thing of consequence that happens is flirting, literally. And it's just like, and there is some kind of plot about how Julia is the daughter of some mafia boss guy, but it's not really explained that well, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And then this scene I just read was never brought up again. And lots of things in this fanfic are in fact never brought up again. And while it is kind of faithful to the movie being really disjointed in that, it's not very fun to read. We don't need Choo Choo for this level, but we will need her for a later level. I swear there are more things I wanted to say that I've forgotten now, but that's just how my mind works. I forget things a lot. Except when I don't. What I'm trying to say here is that all the good Cars fanfictions were written in 2012, and now we're just stuck with endless amounts of planes they use with gender bending, but not in a creepy kind of way, and stuff. I don't know. No, seriously, there are way too many planes they use on fanfiction.net. I've never seen planes. I don't know. But also in that scene, like, Finn does literally nothing. He doesn't talk at all. He doesn't really... He's only mentioned in passing in that scene, which is a bit stupid, because isn't this supposed to be... And in that fanfiction, he just kind of... Every interaction he has with Sith, he's literally just shouting at him, so... That's not good. I thought they were supposed to be friends. I thought that was the reason why I didn't hate Cars 2 to begin with, and I died and lost Ku. Yes, I am the Cars apologist of YouTube. I'm not the biggest Cars fan in the world. I am not going to claim that, but I am the YouTube's resident Cars apologist, and I feel bad about it sometimes, but not other times. It really depends on how much I've been thinking about a certain internet critic, who I've mentioned but name dropped previously in this series. It's the mysterious Mr. Enter I'm talking about, if you want to know. And I need clean ability for this, and I think I've missed it. Can I get it here? I hope I can get it here. Oh, these are spiders. Those are called Komo, by the way. Which is like Kumo, which is Japanese for spider, but with an O. And since I seem to just be stumbling all over my words again, here's another thing I wanted to talk about. An idea for a Pokemon spin-off. Okay, this concept, it's like an action RPG. It could be best be described as Pokemon game... A Pokemon game that's like Viva Pinata meets Ever Oasis meets Digimon World, specifically the first one. Because that's I'm watching a Let's Play of it at the moment. And also Digimon World is kind of like the precursor to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but anyway. Okay, so basically the idea is you, the player character, are one of the last humans in the world, and you have to create this hub place which Pokemon come to. But then you need to go venturing into the outside world with the help of a few Pokemon, and excuse me while I just put my Kindle away, and I accidentally summoned Gooey, an autobiography by Nitro Indigo. You are one of the last humans in the world, and you've created a hub for Pokemon to come to, and putting certain things in that hub will attract some Pokemon, and some Pokemon will attract their predators, because predation. They started describing it in the Pokedex in Sun and Moon, and I like it when fictional species actually feel like they have a functioning ecosystem and aren't just there to be, like, monsters that chase the heroes. I like creature building, which is like world building but specifically focusing on fictional species. But anyway, you have to venture into the outside world, and this is the person we need to help, but not in this particular room. It's like, it is actually, the patterns kind of look like the patterns on the Palace place in Ripplefield 4, honestly. But also, you are one of the last gyms in the world. You need to venture away from your hub place, and in order to gather materials and maybe recruit Pokemon to live in your hub place thing as well. And this idea, I'm not sure if you have it's like the Pokemon. I'm actually not really sure if you should like attract Pokemon to the hub place or have to find them in the overworld, which means that there's a finite number of them that can join you. Because that would kind of suck, because that kind of goes against how Pokemon is, but then that would make it more like Digimon World, where you find Digimon and then they give you services in File City. And it's like an action RPG, which basically means that like Pokemon attacks have like different ranges and stuff, like in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but not. And so like you could have like a melee attack to mapped to one button, and a close range attack mapped to another, or you could just have any combination you want, but every attack will be mapped to one specific button. And I was thinking about the plot, like maybe thinking about Pokemon being fused together, and then when you defeat them they unfuse, like in Ever Oasis. But I'm not really sure if that's a good idea, since I've talked about it with someone in real life. Yeah. He may or may not watch my videos. He knows who he is if he's watching these. Anyway. But then like, I was thinking that the final boss could also be one of the other last humans in the world. And it could be like some kind of weird transition between like the Pokemon World of Humans and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, though not directly linked to either of those, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I've also been watching a lot of videos about Digimon recently, and I've kind of got the Digi-rap stuck in my head. It's so bad it's good. A guilty pleasure. I mean, it's catchy, but the lyrics are absolute trash. And I don't use trash in that context very often. I hope I got the Heart Star for this level. And now that I've exhausted my supply of Cars fanfiction, I don't know what else to talk about. I think I've forgotten to say anything anyway. Oh look, I like how it looks underwater. It's got bubbles, like the worst game ever 2K2, but not! Well, this is awkward silence. It is silence that is awkward. I like these semi-breakaway bridges that aren't really breakaway bridges, and I got hit by a squishy. But anyway, I don't know why, but I've like seen videos of like a lot of Digimon games, but like I'm watching a Let's Play of Digimon World at the first one at the moment, and it's ongoing at the time this video is made. And I guess I prefer that one first, kind of because it sounds more like it's trying to have like its own. I just really like the atmosphere of that game, I guess you could call it. And like I really like the concept of like a game where you have a character that like can become lots of different things, and you can only do what you can do in the game depends on what they are. I'd like to like expand that on that idea more, make an entire game of like lots of branching paths and stuff that you couldn't get everything in one playthrough because what you can get to depends on what you do and what your character becomes. So basically like Digimon but even more extreme, I don't know. Yeah, because for the uninitiated, Digimon was conceived as a Tamagotchi spin-off, and what your Digimon grew into in the virtual pet games was determined by how you treated them. Also, I had a music Tales Tamagotchi when I was little, and I recently realised that I got some of the best outcomes because I got the starfish one, Hitodaichi. I don't really like how all the Tamagotchi names end in chi, by the way, because the chi part stands for watch, and they're not watches. I mean, Digimon, it makes sense because they're monsters, but Tamagotchi means egg watch because Tamago, egg, is Japanese for egg. That was a horribly worded sentence. And I also had Tamagotchi Corner Shop Free, specifically the third one when I was little, and there was this mini game where you got to make coffee in it, and I just liked how they looked, or not coffee, just drinks in general in it, because I liked how they looked because they were like all these nice colours and stuff. And there was also another mini game where you literally grew bread as a plant. Bled. What? It was a certainly game. It was a certainly game. That is just amazing wording. And also Mamechi was in Mario Kart Arcade GP, so whenever I went on holiday to the place which had that, its arcade, I would always play as him in that. And I do say him, Mamechi is always male. I am well versed in the deep and intricate lore of Tamagotchi, except not really. What am I talking about? I think I know things. And there are multiple door options. Also, there's Stonehenge in the background. I don't know why, because we're in the middle of the deserted desert of deserts and there is pitch. But there we are. Why is it a woodcut room? Why is the friend room like woodcut, like the last stage of Grassland? That doesn't actually make any sort of sense. We don't require an animal friend for any thing in this level, which is because it's the third stage, so that means it's a mini game level. But still, if I don't require an animal friend, I'll use Pitch because he's my favourite. Oh, I like how it's slowly falling though. I wanted to stop in and I realised you couldn't really do that. And now we're in a volcano, except there's a crab, except not really. We're in a volcano, except there's a crab, and there are these blocks that come out the walls and these plants that sway. Yeah, see, this game doesn't really give me that much material to talk about, which is why I have to resort to talking about things that are completely irrelevant. Although I do like how Kirby has lore, but you wouldn't really expect it at first. The first game I played was Amazing Mirror, and that game storyline, I didn't really. It feels like it was trying to be substantial, and it just wasn't. If that makes any sense, like the plot twist didn't really feel like plot twists because there's not really much story there to begin with. Because, spoiler alert, the plot twist in the game is supposed to be that Shadow Kirby is good, but there was never any indication in the game itself that Shadow Kirby was evil. Yeah, it was the first Kirby game I played. I had it on 3DS and my Ambassador 3DS, which then broke for no reason. Basically, the touchscreen and some of the buttons stopped working, and I still don't know why. Also, I don't like how these star bits are also flat colours that blink sometimes. And we're now in a volcano. And I desperately need health. I don't know what these little blobby things that die in one hit are, by the way. Also, I know it sounds really stupid, but it always bothers me how Kirby can't inhale with his ability, which I guess is supposed to be because the first game that had copy abilities, which was Kirby's Adventure, had 2 buttons, so they had to be mapped to the same button, but still. And I don't think you can freeze the lava in this game. This isn't Mouse Attack, aka Squeak Squad, aka Mouse Attack, aka Squeak Squad. Also, Peach's colouring kind of reminds me of a dolly mixture. Basically, there's these sweets, and some of them are these soft things that come in 2 colours. One is white, the other is just another colour. Sometimes they're green. And I'm just going to wait for Peach to circle me while I kill these lava dinosaurs. Whee! There's a mini game coming up if I... Oh, here it is. Oh, by the way, the egg thing's name is Caramello. I'm not sure why, because it's an egg, but still. And I got killed by a Podoboo, which is what those fireball things from Mario are called, but I don't know what they're called in this game. Oh, also, there's this one piece of music for that I always want to use whenever there's a lava area in any video game because it has a really sick beat, even though I don't use sick in that context. And you'll see what it is at the end of the video. I wanted to use it in Wind Waker and then that got cancelled, so that was a thing. But there are plenty of games with lava in them. Lava Land. That was a terrible pun. La La Land. But lava, that Pixar short, and then I burned gooey. So, there was a desert volcano with wood-cut places in it. I don't get it. I do like how these Kirby things. I've forgotten what they're called now. Oh my goodness. I swear I knew what these were called, and now I've just had a complete memory lapse and forgotten because it wasn't really on my mind. Of course, there'll be text telling you what they're called, so don't worry. Like that song from Shark Tale, because I vaguely remember watching that movie, and then the mysterious Mr. Enter reviewed it, and that was a thing. Yeah, I don't really like how inconsistently coloured some things are. Like there are some graphical assets in that minigame which were flat coloured. Not the Gordos, but like the circles and the swishes that appeared over the number of the Gordos. And I always get these flat coloured faces. I think that's enough for today though. Next time in my extremely riveting Let's Play of Kirby's Dream Land 3, we shall be doing the rest of Sand Canyon. Until then, stay interesting!